Truth number 2, truth is truth. Some things are simply true. The arbiter of truth is God, not your favorite social media news feed, not Google, and certainly not those who are disaffected from the church.
My name is Shelby Cook, and I'd like to bear my testimony that I know this church is not true. So I was born in Salt Lake City, Utah, and my parents, my dad was, I think he was born into the church because his parents are members, and my mom was baptized when she was 9. Her and her family were converts to the church. My brothers and I were all very active in the church up until recently. So in 2004, I got baptized. I was 8 years old, just like every other 8-year-old in the church. And I remember being so into it. I remember I wanted to get baptized so bad, and I remember thinking so much that it would make me just be good to the point where a few years after I was baptized, I was at my grandparents' house and I had a panic attack that night. And at like 9 or 10 years old, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was happening. Now, looking back, I know what it was. I know that feeling of, I'm familiar with it now. But back then, I was so into the church and believing that I was this horrible person that I thought that God was giving me a heart attack because I had stopped reading my scriptures every day. I had stopped reading the Book of Mormon every day and saying my prayers every day. And I thought that that meant that God was punishing me. And now, looking back, all I can think is how sad I am for that little girl. I feel like anyone who knew me in growing up in the church would have known that I had questions a lot because I asked a lot of questions, and I always struggled because I feel like I never got any answers, and I've already been upset for a while about how the church handles, LGBTQ plus matters.
Let's consider the definition of marriage. In recent years, many countries, including the United States, have legalized same-sex marriage. As members of the church, we respect the laws of the land and abide by them, including civil marriage. The truth is, however, that in the beginning, marriage was ordained by God. And to this day, it is defined by Him as being between a man and a woman.
And after already having had lifelong issues with the church's stance, I guess it's changed in recent years, but it hasn't really changed, is, their view on race and why Mormons think black people are black.
How come the blacks didn't get the priesthood until 1978? What's up with that, Brother Wilcox? What, Brigham Young was a jerk? Members of the church were prejudiced? Maybe we're asking the wrong question. Maybe instead of saying, why did the blacks have to wait until 1978? Maybe what we should be asking is, why did the whites and other races have to wait until 1829.
It got to the point where I didn't feel like I could ask many questions because I did. I sat down with the missionaries so many different times, so many different sets of missionaries, and they couldn't answer my questions. I had the missionaries come over and attempt to teach my husband, who's never been Mormon, about the Mormon church, and he's still not Mormon, and they still didn't answer his questions. Couldn't, I guess I should say. In August of 2016, I moved home from California, and right before I had gotten home, I had applied to BYU, Idaho. And the day after I got home, I met the person that I didn't realize I would end up marrying. He's never been Mormon. And, for me, that's never really been an issue. I personally have never cared if you're Mormon or not. I've never used that as a reason to be with somebody or not be with somebody, and I don't think that should be a reason that you should be with somebody or not be with somebody. However, so I meet him and we start dating, and he knew I was Mormon. His family knew I was Mormon. I don't think they really knew what it meant, and you always get, when you tell somebody that you're Mormon, you always get the classic questions like, oh, how many moms do you have, or whatever, right? So, he knew basically what the rest of the world knows about Mormonism, which is next to nothing, and other than the stuff about polygamy. So we start dating. My older brother and his wife aren't happy about it. It's already kind of a thing because he's not Mormon. He has a beard. And then come Christmas time, I get pregnant.